Joining us now, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, Harris Campaign National Advisory Board member. Senator, it's great seeing you. I thank you for your time. With less than a week from Election Day, how are you feeling about Arizona right now?
Well, Jose, I feel pretty good. I've been traveling across the state. I fly myself around in a little airplane. I've been up to the Navajo Nation twice. I've been to Flagstaff, Lake Havasu, really all over, including rural areas, but also spending some time in Maricopa County, which is, in any election in Arizona, is key to winning the state.
So key, Maricopa, to winning the state. Arizona has a unique vantage point on when we're, for example, focusing on immigration. I mean, with his history, Senator McCain, part of the Gang of Eight, SB 1070, Joe Arpaio, the sheriff of Maricopa for many years. How does that history inform voters in Arizona today?
Well, I think, voters in Arizona get it. I mean, we understand we're a border state. We understand the benefits that the southern border provide to the state of Arizona. Economic benefits are significant. The ports of entry, that's one of the reasons why I've focused in my first term in office here in getting money to upgrade these ports of entry. At the same time, we've got border security issues that the administration is working on addressing. Donald Trump doesn't, have a plan for that. He doesn't really have a plan for anything except, in this case, in the case of border security, trying to kill, actually successfully killing, a bipartisan border security deal that was going to go a long way to helping solve this problem. Kamala Harris, I think she made the point last night in her speech that given the opportunity, if we can get this through Congress, she'll sign that legislation. But Jose, I think folks in Arizona, they understand the consequences of this election. Do we want a president that's focused on his own problems, a president who's a felon, a president with no plans to improve people's lives? Or the other option is Kamala Harris, who's going to be a president for all of the country, who's going to offer common sense solutions, who's fighting for people and fighting for their families and care about people. I think Arizonans are starting to get that. But still, this is the state of Arizona. You're going to see a really, really tight race here on Election Day.
And, law enforcement officials are warning about election threats across the country, and specifically Maricopa County, where police will be using drones, snipers, even officers on horseback to help keep the ballots and those who count them safe. How serious are the threats, Senator?
Well, I mean, the threats originate when you have individuals like the former president, Donald Trump, and Kari Lake, who's now running for the U.S. Senate, when they won't accept the outcome of a free and fair election. And that gets, folks that support them, they get very confused about this because they're being lied to. And that's where the threats come from. So it's incredibly unfortunate. But like our former governor, Republican Doug Ducey, has said multiple times, we do elections well here in Arizona. We administer them well. They're free. They're fair. The problem comes back to people like Kari Lake and Donald Trump. So, I would suggest that they get over themselves and understand that we know how to administer an election here in Arizona. And the one next Tuesday is going to be counted. It's going to be a fair election, and they should accept the results.
Senator, last night, Vice President Harris gave her closing arguments, but did President Biden's remarks about garbage last night, you think, affect that message in any way?
Well, I think he was talking about, one guy, and I think the important point here is that Kamala Harris in that speech last night, really, had a plan, and in that plan was to include Republicans at the table. She made it clear that just because somebody didn't vote for her, if somebody voted for Donald Trump, she still cares about their opinion and cares about what they have to offer. And they will be at the table, some of them. She made it clear that in her cabinet, there will be, Republican representation there. And, we've got in the United States Senate, I've got great Republican colleagues that over the last 3.5 years, we've worked across the aisle to get things done that Kamala Harris has also worked with them. And this administration has signed legislation into law that is helping the American people. Donald Trump cares about one person, and that's himself. He made that very clear through his presidency, but also that he doesn't really care about the future of this country. He's taken away women's reproductive rights and put women across this country in a horrible situation. He's given tax cuts to a very small percentage of the population, billionaires, tax cuts to billionaires, and he's shredded our alliances. And this is not the path forward. Kamala Harris wants to lead this country into the future in a positive way. Donald Trump just wants to drag us back into the past.
Hey, Senator, I just before I let you go, I was there in January of 2011 when Gabby Giffords almost lost her life. And I'm just wondering, how is she doing? And how did that affect you as a family? There were so many people affected by that.
Yeah, Jose, I mean, 6 individuals died that day, including one of Gabby's staffers, a federal judge, 9-year-old girl, Christina Taylor Greene. It affected this community. But the community rallied around those families, rallied around us, rallied around Gabby. She's doing well. She works on this issue of gun violence daily, trying to, keep, especially kids, children from being killed, murdered in their classrooms, an issue that makes our country stand out in just the worst of ways. And she's really effective at it. And through her help and her organization, Giffords, we have gotten legislation passed, federal legislation. But more important than that is across 30-something states, hundreds of pieces of legislation that's making communities safer. At the same time, there's a lot more that needs to be done. Kamala Harris, she understands this issue. She was a prosecutor, an attorney general. I first met her when she was working on, gun violence and how it affected, trying to get firearms away from domestic abusers who were criminals. Donald Trump doesn't understand this issue. After the Parkland shooting, he said he was going to do something about it. And then he met with the National Rifle Association in the Oval Office that afternoon, changed his mind, and basically says now that he has never done anything productive on this issue. So Gabby and the vice president and others, including some Republicans, by the way, want to move this country forward on this issue. Donald Trump, again, he has no plan.
Senator Mark Kelly, I thank you very much for being with us.